Hey everyone, it's Paul Walker from the GH Boilers YouTube channel. It is an absolutely beautiful Tuesday afternoon here in New York, but the weather in Port Charles is nothing short of a Category 5 hurricane of drama. Today we are breaking down the jaw-dropping Metro Court, the disaster where Curtis Ashford completely lost his mind, assaulted a doctor, and got himself arrested. Let's get right into the madness. I am literally shaking as I sit here typing this out. I cannot believe they went there. Seriously. Am I the only one who had to rewind that scene 3 or 4 times just to process what actually happened on my screen? I am sitting here late at night chugging my 3rd cup of coffee because I desperately need to get this out of my system before I explode. We all knew Curtis Ashford was walking on a very dangerous tightrope lately, but this wasn't just him slipping. This was him swan diving off the edge into a pit of absolute irredeemable madness. I mean, we are talking about a full-blown public meltdown that just altered the course of multiple lives in the span of 30 seconds. And I am both completely horrified and entirely obsessed with the drama of it all. Let's just set the scene. Because the sheer audacity of this moment needs to be studied in soap opera history classes. We are at the Metro Court Gardens. It is broad daylight. The Port Charles elite are literally sitting there sipping their expensive mimosas, picking at their overpriced salads and enjoying a peaceful afternoon. Portia Robinson and Dr. Isaiah Gannon are just having a nice innocent lunch together at one of the stone tables. Portia is pregnant. She is glowing, and Isaiah, being the incredibly supportive colleague and friend that he is, reaches out to feel the baby kick. He gently puts his hand on her tummy. That is it. That is the massive, unforgivable crime that set this entire catastrophic train wreck into motion. A sweet, innocent moment of shared joy over a new life. But wait, we have to rewind for a second to fully understand the absolute delusion happening in Curtis's brain right now. Curtis is already boiling with rage because of the car accident he and Jordan were in recently. And because Curtis cannot just accept that accidents happen, he has completely convinced himself that Isaiah is the one who ran them off the road. Why? Because Isaiah has a scratch on his SUV. That is his entire basis for this witch hunt. We, the viewers, I know that Brooklyn Quartermain is actually the one who hit the guardrail and kept driving, but Curtis has zeroed in on Isaiah like a heat-seeking missile of toxic paranoia, so he is already marching into the Metro Court looking for a fight. And then he sees them. He sees Isaiah's hand on Portia's stomach, and you can literally see the rational thought leave his body. He just sees red. He storms through the gardens like some kind of territorial silverback gorilla, completely ignoring the fact that he is in a luxury establishment. I'm sorry. But what the actual hell is his problem? He literally screams across a crowded restaurant, "Take your hands off of my child." Let's just pause right there and unpack that ridiculous statement. Your child, Curtis, my guy. You have been pushing everyone away, acting like a petulant teenager, and treating Portia with such cold distance, and now suddenly you are the ultimate aggressive protector of this fetus. Would you be screaming at a male obstetrician in the delivery room? Would you punch an ultrasound technician? It is so incredibly toxic and possessive. I know some people on the forums are loving this alpha male energy and saying he is just defending his family. But personally, I think it is absolutely pathetic. You do not show love by acting like a violent caveman in the middle of a 5-star restaurant. He doesn't just stop at yelling either. Oh no, that would be far too simple for Curtis Ashford. He marches right up to their table and starts aggressively bullying Isaiah. He gets right in his face, puffing at his chest, trying to physically intimidate a brilliant doctor who is literally just trying to eat his lunch and be a good friend to his pregnant colleague. Isaiah, bless his heart, doesn't just cower in fear. He claps back because why shouldn't he? He hasn't done anything wrong. He defends himself against the car crash accusations, and he defends his friendship with Portia. But Curtis is so blinded by his own raging insecurities and this weird macho jealousy that he cannot listen to a single word of reason. Okay, back to the point, because this is where everything goes straight to hell. The argument escalates. The tension is so thick you could cut it with a scalpel, and then bam. Curtis throws a punch, and I am not talking about a little scuffle punch or a shove. I am talking about a full-on put your whole body weight into it, devastating right hook straight to the jaw. I gasped out loud. I literally screamed at my television screen. Isaiah didn't even have a fraction of a second to put his hands up to defend himself. The sheer force of the blow knocks him completely off his feet, and he goes flying backward through the air. And this is where the soap opera gods decided to give us maximum tragedy. Isaiah doesn't just fall backward onto the soft grass. He crashes hard into one of those heavy, unforgiving stone tables in the gardens. The sound. You guys, the sound effects department deserves a primetime Emmy for that sickening, bone-chilling crack. We literally heard the bone snap. Isaiah hits the ground, writhing in absolute blinding agony, clutching his hand to his chest. His surgical hand. The hand he has spent decades training to use to save human lives. It was completely deformed, and you could just see the pure, unadulterated pain radiating from his face. He is twisting around on the floor, groaning in agony, and in that one split second, Curtis didn't just win a stupid macho argument. He ruined a man's entire livelihood. Portia's reaction is going to haunt my nightmares for weeks. She drops down to the floor instantly, absolutely frantic, her hands hovering over Isaiah because she knows, as a medical professional, exactly how devastating this injury is. She looks up at Curtis, and the look of pure horror, betrayal, and disgust on her face was Oscar-worthy. "What the hell is wrong with you?" she screams at him, her voice cracking with emotion. And honestly, it is the question of the damn century. What is wrong with him? Jordan is there too, rushing in to see if Isaiah is okay, and you can just feel the collective, heavy disappointment of every woman who has ever loved or respected Curtis Ashford radiating through the screen. Look, I've been watching this show religiously since 2015, and I've seen Curtis do some highly questionable things. Remember when he was running around playing amateur mob enforcer? Remember when he lied to Jordan for months on end and then had the absolute audacity to get mad at her for keeping police secrets? Yeah, his hypocrisy has always been a massive problem. But this is a whole new, terrifying level of unhinged behavior. He has officially crossed the line from being a flawed but lovable rogue to being a straight-up violent thug. And the absolute worst part is, as he is standing there looking down at the destruction he just caused, he still looks like he thinks he was completely justified. But the universe was not going to let him get away with it this time. Because right on cue of the maitre d', who definitely deserves a massive Christmas bonus for not putting up with this nonsense, calls the cops, and who walks through the Metro Court Arch is Detective Joe Fitzpatrick. Jonathan Bennett's highly anticipated debut, ladies and gentlemen. And what an absolute powerhouse of an entrance it was. No slow build-up, no boring desk duty scenes, no fetching coffee. He walks right into the biggest, messiest, most public scandal of the month, looking sharp and completely unbothered by the wealth in the room. Joe doesn't care that Curtis is a prominent club owner. He doesn't give a single damn about the Ashford name or who Curtis is friends with. He takes one look at the shattered table, the screaming pregnant woman, the doctor writhing on the floor with a mangled hand, and the angry guy standing there with bruised knuckles, and he does exactly what needs to be done. He slaps the cuffs on Curtis, right there, in front of God, the mayor, and everybody else. A stunning, humiliating, totally justified public arrest. I was cheering. I am not gonna lie to you guys, I was literally clapping and hollering in my living room. Because finally, somebody's holding Curtis accountable for his reckless actions. He gets read his Miranda rights and paraded out of the Metro Court like a common street criminal, while the Port Charles elite whisper point and take out their phones. It was a masterpiece of soap opera karma. It was everything I ever wanted for him in that moment. But my heart absolutely breaks for Isaiah. Because while Curtis is sitting in a holding cell feeling sorry for himself and probably blaming everyone else for his temper, Isaiah's entire world is collapsing around him. We have to talk about the collateral damage here. Because it's not just Isaiah who suffers from this brutal attack. What about that little boy, the one Isaiah's been talking about for weeks? The one who desperately needed that highly specialized surgery that only Isaiah could perform. That surgery is ruined now. It has to be canceled. Because Curtis couldn't handle seeing another man touch his pregnant wife's stomach. An innocent child might not get the life-saving care they desperately need. Let that sink in for a minute. That is the true sickening tragedy of this storyline. And now we are looking down the barrel of a massive, brutal legal battle. This isn't a simple misunderstanding. This isn't a bar fight that can be swept under the rug. This is felony assault with severe bodily harm. Curtis cannot charm his way out of this one. He doesn't have Sonny Corinthos' mob lawyers on speed dial right now. And he certainly doesn't have the police commissioner in his pocket anymore to make the paperwork disappear. ADA, Justine Turner, is not going to let this slide. Especially not with half the town acting as eyewitnesses to the unprovoked attack. Curtis is looking at real actual prison time, and honestly, I think he deserves every single second of it. I know there are some diehard Curtis fans out there who are going to try to defend this mess. I can already see the comments typing themselves. They are going to say, oh, he was just protecting his family, or Isaiah provoked him by touching Portia, or he was stressed about the car crash. No. Stop it right now. We are not doing that. There is absolutely no defense for walking up to a seated man and shattering his hand over a perceived slight. It is toxic, it is abusive, and it is a massive glowing red flag. Portia needs to pack her bags, take that baby, and run for the absolute hills. Because a man who cannot control his violent rage in public is not a safe partner for anyone. So what happens next? Is Joe Fitzpatrick going to be the straight arrow cop who finally cleans up the corrupt Port Charles Police Department? Or is he secretly dirty and working for Jen Sidwell, like the rumors say? Honestly, I don't even care right now, as long as he keeps Curtis behind bars where he belongs for the foreseeable future. This episode was a 10/10 for pure chaotic soapy drama. I am exhausted. My heart rate is completely through the roof, and I cannot wait for tomorrow's episode to see the fallout. Are you guys as shocked and disgusted as I am? Sound off in the comments. Because I desperately need to know. I am not just screaming into the void here. Let me know your thoughts. And I'll see you in the next video.